Hi guys, my name's Sophia and today I'm about to call myself out for never reading any of my books. So today I'm going to be showing y'all my fantasy TBR, so all the books that are on my physical TBR that are either YA or adult fantasy. I don't have any middle grade fantasy on this list, so that's good. We count Rick Riordan as fantasy. I'm going to add him. We're just going to add him. We're gonna do it. Spoiler alert, Rick Riordan's in here. Because I'm a fake Rick Riordan fan. Continuing on. I have a lot of fantasy books I haven't read yet. I decided to make this TBR because I wanted to show you guys all the books on my physical TBR, but that's a lot. So I'm gonna break it up into sections, starting with fantasy, maybe doing a paranormal, a classics, and then like horror and miscellaneous books that are like genres I don't really read. So if you want that, leave a comment, thumbs up the video, and I'll continue this series. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through. I'll have a little counter somewhere on the screen probably. If not, I'll tally it up at the end. We'll see what I do. I don't know how many there are. I'm not gonna really give a description. I might give a reason as to why I haven't read it yet. Most of these are just I either A, got it in a subscription box and didn't read it yet, or B, I just haven't gotten to it yet because they're adult fantasy and adult fantasy scares me. So yeah, let's just get started because I'm rambling for too long. First two, as you saw in the little clip, Rick Riordan books. I have the Tyrant's Tomb. It has a B, Tomb. I do this every time. This is the fourth book in the Trials of Apollo series. And then I have the Red Pyramid because I have not read this trilogy, which makes me a fake Rick Riordan fan, but I promise I'm reading it sometime in the next year or two. Starting with obviously the first one. Moving on. Now, getting started, we have Mirage by Sumaya Dodd. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry if I butchered it. I got this in an owl crate a couple years ago. We have Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart, which was another owl crate book. Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine, which was another owl crate book. I told y'all a lot of these were from subscription boxes. Next we have Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schodel, another owl crate book. I no longer have owl crate. Not because I didn't like it, but because I kind of got backlogged with books. Next we have Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, another owl crate book that I have yet to read. I should probably just do a week where I only read my owl crate books. Next we have The Storm Crow by Kaylin Josephine. This one I just haven't gotten to yet, and it's YA fantasy. Next we have The Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyong. I believe this was also in an owl crate, if I'm not mistaken. It might not have been, but I'm pretty sure I got this in an owl crate. Next we have Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I want to reread the Kiss of Deception trilogy before I move on to this one, which is why I haven't read it yet. Next we have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazil. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing it. I apologize. I should have looked it up first and I didn't. But yeah, this was another owl crate book. Next we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is my most recent purchase, so I just haven't gotten to it yet. We have Stolen Time by Danielle Rollins. I believe this has historical fiction attributes, which takes me a while to get to because historical fiction fantasy isn't my biggest genre that I read, so that's why I haven't gotten to it yet. Next we have The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano is probably the boy, I don't know. Anyways, this was another owl crate book. You see a trend. And then we have Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows, which was owl crate book. I really should read all my owl crate books. That's what this video just taught me. I read this. This shows you how much I'm paying attention. I recently read this, so this can go back over there. Next, we have The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. I started it, haven't finished it yet because I'm a bad reader. That's all I really gotta say on that. Next, we have The Midnight Lie by Mary Rutowski. I heard that you should read the Winter's Curse trilogy before you read this one. I'm gonna look more into it, but that's why I haven't read this one yet. I have The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. The Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This was an owl crate book. Wow, all of these are owl crate. Do I just not read fantasy? Am I not a fantasy reader anymore? Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto, I believe is how you pronounce it. This was an owl crate book. It's beautiful. Do I not read fantasy books? Am I a fake fantasy reader? We have There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole, Furyborn by Claire Legrand, and The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chachki, which is another owl crate book. I'm having a crisis. I feel like I'm not a fantasy reader. At least not, do I not read as much YA fantasy as I think I do. Like, this is really throwing me through a loop. I shouldn't have done this. This is like messing with me. Anyways, those are all the hardbacks. Now moving on to the paperbacks. We have Equal Rights by Terry Pratchett. This is the first book in the Witches series that is a part of his bigger Discord series. We have Rivers of London by Ben Aaronovitch. We have Masters of Sorrow by Justin Call and The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and all of those were adult fantasy, which just takes me a little while to get to because they scare me. Next we have A Skin Full of Shadows by Frances Hardinge, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, again an adult fantasy. The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which I'm ashamed to say I haven't read yet. I haven't had the urge, so I haven't read it yet, but I'm hoping to soon. So I've heard interesting things about the other two books in the series. Next we have God's Grave by J. Kristoff. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I wasn't a huge fan of Uprooted, however I think because I read Uprooted while I was at school, I might have to reread that one, but I want to give this one a try because it's Rumpelstiltskin. And then lastly, we're ending with the most shameful, for readers at least who claim to be fantasy readers. I have some Tolkien book, The Hobbit, which I think I read partially for school, but I don't remember much, so I need to reread this. And then I only own the first two installments of The Lord of the Rings, which obviously it's supposed to all be one book, but it got separated. So I have The Fellowship of the Ring and I have The Two Towers. I do not have The Return of the King. I believe that's the title. I said that very confidently, so I'm hoping that's correct. But yeah, I haven't read Lord of the Rings yet, but I probably should, since apparently I'm a fake fantasy reader. So those are all the fantasy books. This wasn't as long of a video as I thought because I wasn't really giving descriptions. One, because if you watch my channel, you know I can't describe anything. My wrap-ups and TBRs are hard enough for me to describe books in, so doing a big TBR like this, I would have said the same thing for every book, but which I pretty much did. Anyways, what this video taught me is I never read any of my Owl Crate books at all, really, which is not true. I have read a lot of my Owl Crate books, but like clearly I haven't read a lot of the YA fantasy that they give. I apparently don't read as much fantasy as I think I do, which is weird because like I do. I don't know. I feel like I should have read more of these. Anyways, that was my fantasy TBR. If you like this video, let me know. I'll make other ones mainly for my paranormal and horror books, which is the entire top shelf. Maybe I'll do it for my classics and just show you all my unread classics, which I think I've made that video before, as well as like my contemporary and sci-fi. I don't have a lot of those, as well as historical fiction. I don't have a lot of those, so if you want to see like a mashup TBR of those, let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed making this, even though it gave me a little bit of a complex about being a fantasy reader. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys!